Hey, Weech.
Sup?
Do you want to talk any tank stuff, or you want to put it off since you've already been going for like 3 hours?
No, I mean, we can chat. We can talk about tank things if you want.
Um, would you rather start with like specific questions and stuff that you have, or do you want to talk like some general stuff, or
So, I'll ask a couple generals for specific tanks,
okay,
and then, maybe like later on we can work our way
okay,
to stuff.
that sounds good.
So, like, something that I've felt like I had problems with in the games that we played today is peeling our team and knowing when to stop 2v1ing their I don't know, their front line,
Mhm.
and instead just go back to
What a
peeling our team.
fortunate turn of events.
Yeah. So
Thank
a
you,
lot
Butte.
of those situations are kind of tough to fill out. Um, it sometimes it's going to depend on team comp, right? Like, if they're definitely going to be if they have kill pressure on the people who can get into your backline, like let's say they have Sonya and like Mura, or they have an Abahat with a Sonya or something like that, then you just have to peel more often. Like, you have to kind of just play neutral and get back a lot.
Mm.
If all of their kill pressure comes from the ranged DPS, like if they're I don't know, like traditional, like old school stuff, like Jaina Gray. Well, Jaina Greymane's not really going to be that far away. Like a Vala Kel'Thas, like something like that. If that's all their kill pressure, and you are tying that kill pressure up, like if you're Muradin and you wade forward and slow them down and stun them and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
then that's enough peel, right? It's really tough from comp to comp to recognize which is which, right? And to
Right.
be honest, sometimes it's going to be mid-game adjustments, right?
Yeah,
So if
depending on how they play that
Mhm.
particular. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it will also be something you and Ulysses will have to probably talk about pregame, like just talk like team fights, whether you expect him to be back or being aggressive. So like if he's Sonya, he's not really going to peel for your backline, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you probably want to try to play neutral as much as possible. Unless like if you're Diablo Sonya, uh, like I know you guys may end up running something like that,
Yeah.
then it's totally on your team to go get a kill, right? You
Yeah.
guys are engaged, and the only way
We
the other
don't
team should
leave.
be, yeah, the only way people should be getting kills on your backline is if they counter engage you, and that essentially just means they outplayed you on the initial engagement, right?
Hi.
And
Yeah.
you can't really be peeling. That's not to say that every Diablo game you play you won't be peeling, right? There definitely can. I've gotten into drafts before where I early picked a Diablo and then it was like they have like a garage, or just some sort of lockdown with a Tychus or something where John Knight used to be one of our coaches when
Mm-hmm.
Ulysses and I played together on Logical Decision, and he would say like this literally is a game where you don't get to push Q as Diablo.
Yeah,
Like,
because you just have to save it for the peel.
yeah, you save it for peel or you save it for like getting your ass out of trouble. Like if Garrosh throws you, you try to find a Q on a minion to get away from their team or something. Um, so some of those things will just be things you'll learn over time. Um, but knowing when to peel your team out and stuff, some sometimes in draft it'll be evident, and you and Ulysses can talk it out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's going to be like mid game, and Butte's going to say somebody's been up my ass the whole game, like I
And
need
then,
help with that.
we need to focus that at least
Yeah,
focus on whatever that person is doing to.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it could be something as crazy as like a flanking Jaina, right? Like that's been something people have done before. If our team AO notoriously, in my opinion, drafts really poor vision control.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the heroes we play have very poor vision control. And
Are you talking about
some,
like flashlighting bushes or like holding a position or?
yeah, so like flashlighting bushes is an example. So like if you're Diablo, you have your W, right?
And and that's it.
You can reveal like what is it, 45 degree or 90 degrees worth of area, which is pretty good. A flashlight can check a bush, right? But trying to hold a flank, like if you can't push up into an area and you lose vision, and like everybody's playing off to one side,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden like a Jaina appears and just dumps her entire kit on your back line.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing that can happen because if we're not playing Hanzo, we're not playing Chromie. Those are really the only two of our DPS that bring much
That
vision.
that can hold vision in a bush or something like
Mhm.
that without having to be there themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Like we occasionally will play a Junkrat, but we don't really play Lunara,
Yeah.
So we can't hold vision that way, and then none of the supports really have vision tools anymore. Like
No,
Mouth
they took
way
them
back
all
in the
away.
day used to have like the scouting
Yep.
drone, right, and shit like that. But so you know it's one of those things that we can get flanked, and if somebody keeps doing it, then it's up. Like if you hear Butte will usually be the one who's like, this Vala or this whatever is just shitting on the back line. Like we're having trouble with it. So you and Ulysses need to, you need to say to Ulysses like, hey, are you going to handle that or do you want me to?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you think you should be the one handling that, say, all right, Ulysses, I'll handle peel for back line. Like, you take care of,
I heard my name.
holding the front line. Yeah, we were just talking about like Ouija was saying like, what are some good tips for how do I know when I need to be peeling out for like backline or just holding area more?
So something that Ulysses yesterday that I was struggling with was that on a regular basis, like again, we don't ban Vala and people are like, oh, Vala's back here. And I'm like, okay, but I'm 2v1ing the front line. So if I leave, right, then they come in, the rest of the team. But if I don't leave, then Vala just eats everybody in the back line. Even let's say even we're you and I are 2v2ing in the front line. Right? Or even 2v3ing, we're still holding people at bay. At what point, like the main thing is like at what point do I or we leave to assist?
It's really context dependent is the problem.
Yeah, that's what Eday was getting at.
Yeah, like often it depends like how capable at winning 1v1s our backline is and a lot of stuff. Like I think in a lot of these drafts we've been having recently, there have been DPS that have just been like 1v1ing our healer and stuff like that. So it's like something you have to watch for it. Yeah, keep going, Eday.
Yeah, and it's, in my opinion, all that stuff's team related, right? So if Butte's like, this Vala has been in our back line, we have to do something about it. So the team needs to decide, okay, can one of our DPS and Butte respond to that Vala? If the answer is yeah, okay, then one of the DPS needs to position such that they and Butte can handle Vala if she gets, an angle off to the side.
Yeah.
But if that answer is no, like if we play like, I'm trying to think. Say we play like maybe like a Maya Junkrat or something.
Yeah. Who can't really like Junkrat can't really defend himself other than booping himself away.
Yeah, like he can't really trade into the Vala. He could try to boop her, but if she eases away from his mind when he throws it out, which is telegraphed, then she can just stay on them. Maiev can go grab her and pull her, but they're not necessarily going to like really blow her up, so to speak. And like it would be hard, right? You need a Maiev pull into like Anduin Root, and then you can burn her down or something. But it's just kind of iffy, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like, okay, we know this Vala's been aggressive getting angles on our back line, so the next team fight, we're going to just, pretend like we're going to fight this straight up through the front line again. Then as
And
soon
then
as she makes
revert.
an appearance, we're just going to pivot on her.
Gotcha.
But again, it's that's not all on you. It's not on Ulysses. That's a team thing. Like, and it's something that we started doing better at the end of last year. But something that I think every team at our level struggles with is team fights have been going bad for the last 12 minutes. Okay, how do we actually fix that? Right?
Yeah.
And it's always tough because you're also, Cactus is trying to shot call the next 2 or 3 things, so it's hard to get him to really come up with that solution. Butte's trying to concentrate on keeping everybody up, and she's like, I'm fucking getting eaten alive back here, so it's hard for her to come up with that. So you just have to kind of talk it out. But yeah, it's definitely one of those tough things, and like Ulysses said, it's all context dependent.
And then for also, when do you, I know about positioning in bushes, obviously, but when do you prioritize a particular bush over another one? Like when you're in the mid lane of something, mid lane of Garden of Terror, there's a bottom bush, right? And there's also no, not Garden of Terror, because Garden of Terror doesn't have a top bush in the mid lane, right?
Shrines does.
Shrines does. So when do you what do you prioritize there? I mean, obviously you have to talk to your team and you have to see where the enemy's at, but if you don't see them, let's say they're nowhere on the map, where do you position for sight?
So let's see.
My answer to that, which is not Eday, is you should have last seen them in a spot, right?
Right.
So you just
which map did you say?
You just
Shrines?
guard for where they last were.
Shrines, yeah, okay. So let me know, does this show up?
Yep.
Oh.
Okay.
Are you in the Discord?
Yeah.
Okay.
Streaming from Discord chat.
Okay.
So can you see that, Weech?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, okay, sorry. So you're talking about Metal Shrine here?
I mean,
or
think
just
about
any of them, right?
oh yeah, but let's discuss the bottom shrine, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because there's a top bush, a bottom bush, and a forward bush. And so today I was doing a lot of standing in that forward position.
Yeah. So let's say you're Diablo, right? So let's say you're blue team.
Yeah.
So again, and this is another team positioning thing, right? So, and it all depends on who you have. You have Gul'dan. Gul'dan doesn't want to ever be up in here, right?
No, Gul'dan wants to be by that back bush over there, right?
He wants to be somewhere in here, to here, maybe even here. All he wants to do is throw spells in here and clear shrine minions, right? If you have, if you're more aggressive, I don't know, there she is, Maev. Yeah, so if you want, Maev, you may be looking for something with the Diablo Maev, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
then you'd step up?
Yeah, you may want to protect this. It's also like Ulysses just said, where did you last have vision of them, right? So the last vision that you had of them was on this wave right here. You want to be in this push because the bottom line is wherever you last saw them
is the more possible answer of where they're going to be.
Yeah, you want to draw a line. So let me reset. So if you think they are here and your team's here, you draw a line between those two, then you draw a perpendicular line to that, and you want to protect that line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I've played my best tank games, and honestly, I forget this way more often than I should, but when I play my best tank games, that's where I want to control vision of for me. That's when I've had, this maybe doesn't work for most people, but that's when I've done the best, is literally where can they come from? And I want to control that line that keeps them from coming to my team, right? So if the last thing you had was vision of them here, you want this bush. The last thing you had was here, you want vision of this bush, right?
Okay. Then
If you don't have any vision of them, and let's say you've set up on Shrine, you've got 10 minions, they have 9, you haven't seen them for a while, you have to take your best guess, right? Probably funneling in from here.
so
Maybe they're coming over the top.
should I ever stand in that forward bush?
In this far forward bush?
Yeah, if we don't see them.
Yeah, so let's say that there's a situation like you got into some kind of scuffle, right? Mid or over their camp or our camp or something, and you kill one or two of them early game, and you're like, okay, we're going to start Shrine, and you burn down 8 or 10 of them, but then you know that they just spawned, right? So you know they're going to come in from somewhere, right?
Mm.
So they're either coming in from here, or coming in from here.
But the bottom's unlikely, right?
Well, yeah, it just depends. Yeah, exactly. If they had a couple spawn, they're probably coming this direction or through here, right?
Mhm.
You're absolutely right that it makes less sense that they come around. But that's a case where you know that none of them are around the shrine at the moment. You're Diablo, so you're not really going to clear, and you only have like 10 or 12 minions, so you're not about to finish it. So you can absolutely step up forward bush here.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, team needs to know, like, we still have to cover these other two. So, like, trying to think, if you have somebody that has a little bit of mobility, like maybe even a Hanzo, he could be playing this bush because he can D over this wall.
Yeah.
Like where the Maiev is. And then, like, Ulysses could be playing this top bush. Or if Anduin is Butte as Anduin, she could maybe play this top bush because she has the root and can walk away.
Okay.
But that's the big thing is you have to control. You want to control these avenues in, and you can choose which ones you want. Like, you could say, all right, I'm just going to play top here. Everybody be careful. Like, they can come in right side.
Right. So if the team were to back out, either back out if you're closer to the bottom gate or head up so I can assist.
Yeah, exactly. And like you, oops, reset the wrong ones. But like you're saying, if you have full gate and everything down here, then this is your shortest path to run away, right? Or
Yeah.
this one. Really, this bottom one's the safest because you have some protection from fort front wall. Bleeding out this way is okay, but like kind of like you're saying is when would I ever be up in here? It's like when you already have established position and you know that they're not already going to be there.
Okay.
Then you can step up there. And again, I know you've been playing some Diablo lately.
Yeah.
And so like if you're here and then all of a sudden you see like tank coming in here and you see someone else,
just leave the bush.
Yeah, because all your team's back here, you probably don't really want to go in, but you can fire stomp out, right? And
right, and demount
because
them.
It's going to hit them in here. You're going to demount them. You just walk away.
And then walk away. Yep.
And then you tell team, like, okay, now instead of being, like over here on their side, clearing their minions, now we need to fall back and kind of do this side.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you have a lead like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're already up, then yeah, just play this half the shrine. Or you can kind of play a quarter, whatever you want, and just start trading because you'll eventually win if you trade. But again, all contextual, right? Like they have a killer shrine comp. They have a Kel'Thas and some other DPS that clears really well, and Johanna and Sonya or some shit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You guys have to eventually take a fight, right? So. The amount of times you would actually take the fight up here are probably pretty low, but it's not zero. There may be times when you're like, we're in an advantageous spot. Like as long as the team's up here with you, like you could take that. But yeah, it's as far as positioning go. Again, it all depends on like what was the last place I saw them. Where's my team want to operate? All right, I just want to be in between them.
Okay. For the camps, it's very simple, I think, where you should position. So I don't need assistance with that.
Yeah, most of the time
You're
like,
in that bush
you're
or the forward
picking
bush
this
on the
camp.
bottom.
Yep, exactly. And again, it's where did you last see them? Like they're clearing this wave. The only thing is, it depends on who you're playing. Like if I'm playing Diablo, this is probably still okay. It depends on what heroes they are.
Yeah, and how tanky
Um,
you are at the time too, probably.
yeah, exactly. Like if this is minute 2 and they have, or let's say that both teams just hit 4, you're still low souls and they have a variant, you may not want to be here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it, it's just it's another one of those things that's all contextual, but whatever you feel safe doing and you have help. I mean, beat Anduin and she's like chilling right here and DPS is hitting this camp, yeah, you're fine to get advanced vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
If all else fails, she'll grab you. Um, but yeah, it's really about trying to figure out where does their team want to come in to us, where is our team position, and try to be between that.
Gotcha.
And then one of the other things, just general type things that I struggled with a lot all the time, is just try to be out of vision as much as possible, especially
Yeah.
if you're a Diablo and a Nubarak, somebody who
Garrosh type thing.
yeah, somebody who presents a threat to the other team. It's most tanks, to be honest, but those are kind of traditional. I can come get you and kill you.
Yeah.
Just try to play out of vision as much as possible. Hit minions as little as possible. I always struggle with that because you play enough.
Yeah, you just want to
Stormleaf,
clear
quick
the
match,
clear the
whatever.
minions.
Yeah, and it depends on if you're Joe, right? Like you're used to going and clearing waves with Joe. Um, but with the changes to her, you can't even
She
really
doesn't.
do that
She doesn't
that
do it
much.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, like her W's still good. Um, so if the other team's not around, you can go in and W and then just step away into a bush
Mm-hmm.
and hold vision.
I
Uh,
I also with a Nubrak yesterday and today. I don't know if either of you noticed. I feel so bad on him. Like I don't know if it's just me maybe just critiquing my own play, but I just don't feel like I did either enough or did it well enough currently. I haven't played a
yeah,
Nubrak since they changed him. He used to have I mean they changed him up like 8-9 months ago, didn't they?
yeah.
If
So
you're not comfortable on a noob and they're just like drafting you on them on 1 or 2 maps, like you can just say I'm not comfortable on the tank.
Well, I
Yep.
said that yesterday, and then everybody's like, "Oh, you got to go a noob." And today I literally said like, "Why a
Okay.
noob?" And so
Yeah. So we need to have
Yeah,
next practice we need to have that talk of they need to realize that this is absolutely zero fault of your own. It would be the same discussion we'd be having if we had have picked up a DPS and Cactus was on the roll, right?
right,
You're switching roles. You've played support for a long time. They need to understand that for both your growth and the team's growth, we need to limit your hero pool right now.
yeah,
yeah.
and I'm malleable right now, and I'm willing to work on any particular hero you want me to, like any particular tank. I just
Yeah,
that is not currently one of them that I've worked on.
That's totally fair.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They asked the same thing for me. They're like, "Do you play reg?" I'm like, "No, I don't play reg."
yeah.
So
And I
yeah.
worked on before like doing the tryouts. I worked on Dibbles, Garrosh, May, and
Muradin? No.
I was working on Muradin, but not in like a Storm League setting. I was working him in just a QM, like getting the stuns right. But I still have. I feel like for Muradin, I don't ever. I can do what he needs to do, but I never feel impactful. And I know that that's like he again, like I think Butte was saying, like he is not.
Joe.
He is not a flashy tank. Murder's right there. It's next to Murky.
Yeah. I was looking for May, but this is
Oh, May's at the top. May's at the top. Oh, I thought I saw May at the top.
No, I think she may not be in Mad Buddha's
Yeah.
because his tool is pretty old, and
Oh,
I don't think he supports it anymore.
May.
So and you do play Joe, right?
I play Joe. She's just again. I'm gonna have to like the talents that you worked on, that you gave me, are gonna be like subdue. I have no problem, right? And Laws of Hope at level 1, I have no problem. But I need to learn how to like activate the hammers, use hammers for vision control, and
yeah, hammers is tough. That's one that is not easy, and because it was always kind of like a pick talent anyway. Like it had uses. I used to actually like it a lot for, like you said, vision control.
yeah,
But now, like this, just looking at it, and Cav does a lot of analysis on stuff. He's like, it's just overstated right now.
yeah.
So I think it's the right pick a lot of the time right now for that. And yeah, that it takes some getting used to. It takes some getting used to get value from the damage it does. The vision's not too hard. You can just kind of throw it out and walk around, and you'll get a pretty good vision picture. But let's use.
But so like tanks, like I really don't play. Like I don't play Stitches like currently, right? I don't play. Again, a new Nubarak is like not easy for me, and neither is ETC now. Like I used to be able to play ETC.
He's really hard to play right now.
I can't play him. He doesn't have he doesn't have the sustain that he used to have when he had the, I think it was 30 armor at one point.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and they just keep nicking his armor, which means his health is nothing.
Yeah,
so
that change was really tough on him. He has times when he's really good now. We played him, can't remember if it was a Heroes Lounge or an NGS game at the end of last season, where I picked him. The other team had a Diablo, but we picked up ETC and Tychus, and we just farmed Diablo for like the first 6 minutes. I think we killed him 4 times or something.
Yeah.
And it was perfect, but how often does he really still get value? Like a really good ETC will still be really good with him, but I think these 5 heroes, if this is me,
I gotcha.
I think you can work with that because you have a strong engage tank with Diablo. Mura can, should be setting up engage kills too. Garrosh can go get stuff, but he's also probably the best peel tank in the game.
Yeah,
if he's played that way. May's extremely good. Peels him.
May's pretty good all around. Yeah.
Yeah, and Joe's kind of jack of all trades, and
but this is where I was coming to problem with Joe is that I just like her only major engage is Blessed, right?
Yep.
She even with the condemned talent that gives you speed. Even with that, even while you're running up to them, it is so short. You have it for 0.75 of a second, and you have that speed for that. It's not enough time to engage.
Yeah, exactly. So with Joe, you're looking for either one of two things, in my opinion. You're either looking for a comp that can just kill something off of Blessed,
yeah.
Yep. And remember, it gets way better at 20 because the extra bounces.
It hits everybody on the team. Longer. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can actually like hit tank, bounce to a squishy. Squishy's locked down long enough for you to go get them and murder them. At 10, you almost have to hit the squish with it. Or you have to have auxiliary engage, right? We're lucky that we have both of our DPS players play a decent Maiev. So Maiev Joe would be a really good combo to run on some setups.
And then for Falling Sword also is now an option too, but I haven't used the new Falling Sword.
Yeah, exactly. So Falling Sword to me is like
counter.
You haven't picked your tank yet. You're like in the 4-5, and they're clearly going Wombo.
Yeah. Like massive lockdown, some kind of massive lockdown.
Yeah, like I'm struggling to think of an exact example now, but like when Gaz was nutty with Gravo, 6 months ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Like she would have been amazing into that. She still would be if somebody was trying to play that. Or if you get down to the end and all of a sudden you realize like for some reason Butte picked Ana because it looked really good and it was a good matchup into what they were showing in their 1-2. But then in their 3-4, they pick something that's clearly going to just go try to kill her.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you have no other options, you know, like Ulysses already picked for some reason, so we can't get a bunker. She's already picked the Ana. Like, you literally have no save for her. You know, grab the Joe, falling sword. You can at least try to run her away, you know. So yeah, I think Joe right now is probably it almost feels like you typically want to pick her when you can go falling sword more so than using her for other stuff. She's still decent wall, but I would almost you play a pretty decent May, so I would almost use May or Garrosh as your wall tanks.
Yeah, May was the I really wanted May to click because May is either picked or banned in almost every Storm League game that I played alone. So
yeah,
she's pretty powerful.
I have such a hard time with that hero. I can't ever find engages with her. Like I watch or I hear so many either good players or community figures who are, you know, either are or aren't good players. And they're like, oh yeah, you just play May and you throw down your W and E them, and I'm like, I can't ever freaking find those angles.
Yeah.
But my win rate on the hero's high because she just kind of runs around and does shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, you throw down your W, it's a huge zone denial. And Ice Wall on a 40-second cooldown is a little crazy.
Yeah.
I also will say about May, Butte will probably lose her mind if you pick Avalanche, but it's not always a bad idea to, like, Avalanche has its places. Like,
but do you like when do you decide to use Avalanche as your engage, and when do you use it as your disengage? Like those are things that I'm still working the kinks out of, and that's what I've been trying to do with Ice Wall. Obviously lower cooldown, right? So I get more chances to use it as both.
Yeah, exactly. So my thing with Ice Wall is it's good at separating a team, so it's good at, you know, cutting people off and then just killing these people that didn't get hit. We don't really do that often. Like, what we'll do a lot of times, these two people get hit in Ice Wall, we're like, oh, kill this one when they come out.
Yeah.
It's like, well, these people are just
sitting there. Yep.
Kill them. So that's something, like, as a team, like, some of those calls maybe should be different. The other thing with Ice Wall is it's telegraphed, right? I mean, both of them are, but, you know, Ice Wall takes a while to draw. So unless you get it, like, in a choke here, you shouldn't really be hitting that many people with it. Like, one, maybe two.
Yeah, something that that I was using it for today in the one game that I played it, just blocking off their retreat. Like, not necessarily
I did use it in front of a gate one time. That was really good.
Yeah, not necessarily. Like, also I was when you hortapulted in, right? Like, we had them stuck, and then you hortapulted in and kept them even more stuck. Like, that's kind of how I like to use it. If I'm not planning on hitting somebody. Yeah,
exactly.
So.
Like, you can use it, you know, it's 45-second cooldown. You can use it like a task wall, right?
Yeah.
If you need to. Like, it's seriously low enough cooldown right now. I'd probably use Avalanche, like, if I just knew they were trying to pile in on us. Like, Rhaegar Bloodlust Cunt or some shit like that.
Yeah, then just avalanche them away, then they have no time. Yeah. Like, and then essentially run, right? You don't go after the kill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or if you are trying to set up some kind of wombo, I still feel like Avalanche a lot of times will be better because
they're all piled in a small space.
Yeah, if you hit these three people and they get let's say you avalanche from here and they get avalanche to this corner right here.
Yeah, and then they're all stunned.
Everything on that spot, right?
Yeah, you know exactly when they're coming out and everything.
Yeah, if you ice wall these people and let's say he's up here and she's here, he comes out faster than she does, right? So it's a little awkward
to pile in on both. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on what you're womboing with, it can get a little wonky because somebody comes out and you hit part of that, and then the other person just walks away. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, my main thing with talents is always if you in your mind during that game say, I think this talent will be good, I still think you pick it. Like,
See that,
you know,
but like, Butte's making, or she wants me to pick like with May. Like I like the skating away because it gives it boosts everybody's
yeah, I
Armor?
like skating.
it gives them physical armor and gives
Yeah, that's
them
the pick, I
30%.
think.
So she's having me pick um induced hibernation.
Induced hibernation. Yeah.
So I think it depends on the
Whether
comp.
they have autos, right?
So
Or
so this is pretty good into auto. Um, this is good if they have like melee.
like a pile in, yeah.
Yeah, like if Sonya's leaping on your back line and Greymane's following her in or Sylve's porting in to follow them in,
Yeah.
then you can drop a W on that spot that she's leaping and where everybody's going to pile in. This is really good, right? Gets a lot of value.
Yeah.
Because 40%.
And for 4 seconds after they get stunned.
Yeah, 40% damage reduction while they're standing in that is insane, right? It's 40 armor, which is insane. If that's going to be the case, right? If their damage package is Ball of Kelthos, you're never going to fucking turn their damage off. Like, you're not going to be on top of. You're not going to get that W on them while they're doing damage to your team.
Right.
You can. You'll still
It's
get a
just,
little value out of it.
yeah, but it's just like,
But
it's
this
not
could be
as, yeah, exactly. Because then that shuts half of Vala's damage.
Yeah.
Or at
The
least
other thing
Vala's others.
is, May's only mobility is her E, right?
Yeah.
So this also is nice for you because when you come out of your E for 3 seconds, you have 20% move speed.
Yeah.
And she has a bunch of slows, so this can be chase, this can be run away, this can be you E in, knock 2 people away from Cactus, and then Cactus gets to run away, right?
Yeah.
With move speed.
With
so,
move speed.
yeah, I mean, again, look at this, right? So this is all games and everything, which is bad filter, but is by far the most popular talent. These have almost identical percentages.
Yeah.
This is still probably a pretty good talent, right?
Yeah.
So I think the pick is one of these two, unless you're the person getting focused constantly, and then this could be the pick, right?
Okay. I rarely pick up backup battery.
I'm the same. I don't actually know if I've picked it more than like twice. But
I think I've
again,
a handful of times, same deal.
Yeah, but I'm very much a proponent of, HOTS has multiple talents on every tier because, for the most part, you can usually find a use case for them. Some of them, the use cases are very low, but and again, like Avalanche versus Icefall, right? So popularities 50-50, win rates 50-50. Like if we go do let's add another couple patches, let's say Storm League, let's say like
load
Master
time
Diamond.
now.
So,
oh my god, the instant. What?
Yeah. Okay, so now look, so Icewall 2% better, right? And popularity 70-30. So that says, quote unquote, best players still playing the game over the last 3 patches.
Are still picking Icewall.
They favor Icewall, right? But it's 2% different. So that means that this still has a lot of use cases. Like
the people who are picking Avalanche are still winning 50% of their games, so.
Exactly. So, if you, I should have looked at what her win rate was for overall for this. Well, we could figure it out from this. It's 52-3 or something. But essentially, this tells me that there are use cases for this, right? If this was 46-54, then I'm like, this is a shit town.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Low
use.
Some edge case. Yeah.
Right.
There's probably some edge case where you'll still use it. But 2% difference, it's probably significant over this many games, but to me, that doesn't mean that this is 100% always the only thing you pick, right?
Okay.
But I think have a good reason for this. Like I was originally using this for boss control because I really liked it for boss control, and then I realized, well, if I just catch them in the ice wall, it's stasis, so that counts too.
Yeah, the ults are so similar. It's just,
Yeah,
they overlap a lot.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, oh, if they clump, then you pick Avalanche, but then you can also just ice wall them.
yeah, yeah. So I always had a problem with Avalanche because I didn't play it for long enough to figure out where the hell they were going to come out at. So
how long it was going to run for?
Yeah, there'd be times that Avalanche people, and it felt like they went, 4 units and then stopped at a wall and popped out. And then there were times when they like went over
really
a
far,
and were gone, right? And then I'm like, well, shit, that was our engage. Like we were trying to engage with that, and now we're on the other side of the wall from them. So I always had problems with it, and that was part of why I went to Ice Wall, but also just the cooldown is ridiculously low right now. But yeah, I think generally with talents, like we can talk about some heroes at some point.
What I normally go for May is heavy pack at 1, because that gives me my snowball back faster and gives me mana.
Yeah.
And then cold front at 4.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, I choose either or induce or skating away, but I usually go skating away.
Yeah.
Ice wall, polar vortex.
Yep. What is flurry? Okay. Yeah.
I don't even know what flurry does. What does that even do?
Yeah,
standing in it.
CDR.
Standing in it. Yeah, CDR standing in it.
Yeah, so that one's interesting because I never liked playing this one anyway. It's interesting that win rate is quite high for it because I've never really played that one. I think it would be really good if you're like point control, like you're on Braxis, you're on maybe D-Shire.
Yeah, because then you just get it back.
Point control for bosses.
Yeah,
like if you know you're going to be point control, standing in a spot, trying to do stuff, it'd be really good. I'm like you though. I used to take cooling servos a lot.
Yeah.
Polar Vortex is probably the better talent. But
well, I'd only take cooling servos if I'm going like full autos with acclamation at the next talent tier. So like heat transfer, cooling servos, acclamation.
Yeah. And the only thing I like about cooling servos is into some matchups I like the basic attack slow.
Yeah.
Her range is like 4.5.
Yeah.
So there are matchups of people that I like to just
chase down. Yeah.
Them slowed. Yeah, either chase down or just control. Like, you throw on Garrosh. Garrosh hates slows, right? If I just can auto attack Garrosh and slow him, he has to pop end
to get to you
100% move speed, right? And even at 100% move speed, you just walk away from him or throw down your W, whatever. So,
and then slow him again. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I always like this one a bit, but yeah, this is a strong talent too. And then I think acclamation's good.
Sometimes I will go fresh powder.
Yeah.
Depending on if they have a lot of autos, then I'll go fresh powder. But otherwise, I go acclamation.
Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. And again, this is another one where like high popularity, high win rate. Like maybe play around with this a bit. It's kind of interesting. It's almost like the slow effect no longer decaying is really nice because that's probably a really good setup for follow-up CC.
60% slow, I think, when you're close, right?
Yeah, and then the damage is actually kind of interesting too. It's almost like a pinball wizard thing.
Yeah.
PC, but and that 20s don't count.
No.
No. Flash freeze or shatter usually.
Yeah.
The big one if I'm playing for funsies.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that thing. That thing can do like 600 damage on a Q.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, it's really fun. I like playing around with that one. So at 1, I think any of them are fine. I usually play heat transfer or sometimes I'll do ice storm, but
can you hover over heat transfer? Because I feel like
that's the auto attack one where your basic attacks against rooted slowed heroes do more
Gotcha.
damage.
Yeah,
And so that one procs really well with the not crystallize,
acclamation.
acclamation and cooling servos, because then your
Yeah.
autos do slows, so then you just heal for every auto.
Yeah, you heal on every auto, and then this boosts it up to like, was it 20%? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Like,
The one below. I think it's 20%.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there you
so,
go.
Yeah. Yeah, up to 20 times.
20
So
times.
like, you're probably not going to auto somebody 20 times, but if you're
You're
if you get
autoing them
four-
and then slowing them while you put them in the blizzard. Like they're
Yeah.
already slowed before the blizzard even starts hitting them, so.
Yeah. And the 33% proc is pretty nice too. Like, she ends up doing a little more damage than you expect.
I
Mhm.
noticed that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, again, you look at a lot of this stuff. Like, I play Crystallize a lot, even though I probably shouldn't.
Is it the
based
reduction
on
or
this.
the
It gives you 40 armor while you're in the ice, and then for 1 second after,
yeah,
and it reduces the cooldown
by 10 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, and that was originally, I think it was like 20 seconds.
It
or
was
something
it was
stupid.
20 seconds. It was insane.
Yeah, and
You'd
that's-
have it
that's
twice
why
in a
I got used
fight.
to playing it. Yeah, it was insane. So that's why I used to play it a lot. But
Can we go over talents for Joe? I know you gave me the build, but just
yeah, and that was like for that one game. And also, sorry about that. I didn't realize they were playing freaking main tank Sonya.
oh, we had no idea they were gonna play main tank
Yeah.
Sonya.
Yeah, so first thing you'll notice. Let's see. Let's do player rank, master diamond. Yeah, so first thing is Joe's overall win rate's kind of in the pooper, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of tells you, like, people aren't really using her as much as they used to for what they would use her for. And if you look at win rate on ults again, it's 2% difference, roughly even popularity. So probably doesn't tell you a lot, but Falling Sword's kind of the lean.
I'm still angry that every single one of those 4 talents were talents that I took. It's just
I
so
agree.
maddening.
I miss getting Hold Your Ground on 1, because it was really nice to have. On 1 these days, I can see a case for Zealous Clear if they're like super auto, but this is more like you almost have to be trying to protect your team
Yeah.
from getting autoed. I mean, it'll help you some too. And there,
And then it
there
goes
are
with the
synergies, right?
renewal,
If you take
yeah.
Holy Renewal, yeah. So like, if you're playing for a later game,
And then
I
even
can see it.
even at 20, if you pick doesn't Blinded by the Light.
Yeah. So yeah, you could get that back too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are definitely some synergies on that. So it shouldn't be like something you just overlook. But again, the synergies come at 16-20. Right?
Yeah.
So that's not a throwaway, but you don't pick that on Braxis probably, right?
No.
So that's one thing to think about. Divine Fortress, I see no use case for this.
I never picking any of the damn Gambit talents.
Yeah, so the Gambit's stupid, and then God, I like her previous block
Was
so
so
good
much
because
better.
it was so good when it was good, and it was not very good when it wasn't. And that's the way some of these should be. This one's just bad to me. Like, I don't like, you're never going to just keep auto attacking people.
Right. I mean, that's what they tried to give her. They tried to give her that auto attack build, and it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
good.
Yeah, because if you're gonna stand on a point and auto attack people, you should be fucking playing Arthas instead of Johanna.
Exactly.
Like, that's the bottom line. So yeah, for me, it's like I can see use cases for Zealous if you're playing late game and you want to build that way. Otherwise, it's just laws. And competitive, Subdue a lot of times is probably what you want, just because
For the slow, the 80
increased
slow is just really good.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't finish it, you still get tons of value from it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not somebody like, you'll hear very high level like CCL people who are like, well, this is still just the pick. Like, there's no reason to pick anything else. I am not quite there because we don't play at that level.
Yeah.
I think if you know that you're going to be the person getting burned down, like this can still be worth at times.
I mean, Hold Your Ground has definitely saved my life like quite a few times. So
yeah, and then Eternal, I don't.
I tried it. It's not like you can't clear anything with it. It's
auto
just
attacks though.
I think it's offlane
no.
Joe. Like this is so
Dude,
fucking good when you play offlane Joe.
I tried it. It doesn't clear it fast enough. It just
Even
doesn't.
offlane Joe, it's annoying.
It just
but
doesn't.
It's 7-second clear.
Yeah.
She attacks 1 second or 0.91, so
It's
like
close to 1
second, 12-second clear.
Yeah.
But it's still like with walls at 1 and your trait, like nobody stops you from just stepping up, Wing the wave, auto attacking, and then walking away.
Dude, the old Eternal Retaliation would clear it in 2 Qs. Or sorry, not Qs, 2 Ws.
Yeah, it was.
And you had it back so fast.
Yeah, so I think for main tank Joe, you're typically looking at Q. If you need Hold Your Ground, you probably will know it after draft and be like, all right, I got to take hold.
Yeah.
This time. And again, I think a lot of the games that you play Joe should have Maev or
some kind of secondary engage. Yeah.
Which becomes your primary engage, kind of. But
right.
Yeah, so
Lyric's good. Your Hogger's really good too. Like Hogger Hortipult is with Light Bomb.
Yeah. So some of that stuff can work, and you go subdue. But if you need it, definitely take Hold Your Ground if you need it. On this one, this is still to me ridiculous. I don't know
why you would take that. I'm not picking that. I'm not picking that.
I think that this.
That's only used good. I only see good use in that when they have either like Ana and Uther or something like that, but not like if they have double support maybe.
I honestly think that this may be more reasonable than it seems. I think if you're trying to burst frontline, this is the pick. But it's if you're trying to burst frontline, right? Trying to think of what a bad example of that is. Like even into Stitches, he has a huge health pool, right? So even though he has a lot of self-healing, you really need to be bringing
everything to yeah.
Like if we don't really play Jaina, but if you were Greymane Jaina, yeah, maybe this is the play into Stitches, right? Because that can probably still get through him. So I think Conviction most of the time, but if, like, let's say they play ETC into you, right? He slides you, you hit your trait, he doesn't get the stun, you condemn him and then Q him, your team should just murder him.
Right.
In that time frame, right? You may not need it anyway in the ETC these days, but there can be use cases for this.
You're really right. It probably does make sense if in like kill the tank comps a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think so, and again,
and it can stay proc too.
This is public games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So like, you get the soul on them, exactly. you queue them, and you got 2 seconds to move, and then you hit them, right? So you try to get a little bit of a body block on them, so you can stay next to them and keep that up. And then the ult we talked about, falling if you need it. Blessed, pretty good. Falling also probably a little bit better if you can get the 20 upgrade.
Yeah.
Resets, healing your team and everything. Then at
I used to pick Roar. I used to pick Roar before she got changed.
Yeah, so Roar I think was always the best. Now I think Blessed, like, numbers look pretty good on Blessed here, and I think it's just overstated.
The vision control is just really good too, so
agreed. I always liked that she had a vision control talent because she shouldn't be able to really hold bushes by herself anyway.
Right.
Like, she doesn't hold vision as well as some other tanks. I haven't really looked at these a whole lot. Again, this would be one that's like they're trying to pile in on your team and you think you'll get use out of this. The only thing I don't like is that it's only for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
But
and you don't get it back for at least another 6, right? Like, so it's an 8-second cooldown in total.
yeah, so like when I look at this, I'm like, who would I want to take this into? It's like people getting on my back line. It's like, okay, if I shut down Sonya's, 25% of Sonya's damage for 2 seconds, pretty good. Um, but she's probably still gonna stick to everybody anyway. You're never gonna catch like a Zeratul or a Tracer with it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to see the use case for it. There probably are some, like again, like Rhaegar or Tyrael run it down comp maybe, but Renewal I think only fits with that. I'm gonna take the E at 1 and kind of go late game.
Okay. So you normally pick that?
I guess so. Like I haven't played Joe a whole lot since it got changed.
When she was changed, I heard Holy Renewal was always the pick, but I don't know.
Well, that's 5% of your health per target hit and cooldown.
Yeah.
So I mean that can
I honestly think you could take just Holy all the time, to be honest, and you wouldn't be disappointed with it. This
I'm not picking
again.
that. That's another attack speed.
Yeah, it's kind of the attack speed thing, right? Like your autos will reduce cooldowns by 0.5 seconds, but again, I think her AA speed is 0.91, so like at most you're gonna get like 2 AAs on people and reduce your cooldowns by 1. I don't think it. If you're playing some weird build where you're just sticking to people, yeah, maybe that works. But again, I think this is probably public game bias here. I think you probably just want to stick to Holy most of the time.
Man,
unless you have a good reason for
sure. And then if Joe gets to level 20, she has a 60% win rate. Jesus Christ.
Exactly. The win rates are all jacked up. But yeah, I think, if you go Falling Sword,
you go Heaven's Fury
almost all the time. If you're Blessed Shield, most of the time you're still Radiating Faith. There are, I still think, very occasional times when you realize at like 16 that holy shit, I'm just the person they're murdering
every time,
that you might have to take this. And then Blinded still could be good, like we fucked up in draft and they have a team comp that can get in our backline every time and we can't do anything about it. Okay, Blinded may be necessary.
Yeah, I usually only pick Indestructible if I'm currently in the middle of a fight, we hit 20 and I'm about to die. But otherwise I pick Radiating, so.
Yeah. So, again, I think Joe unfortunately should be fairly low priority on pick just based on the fact that win rate's pretty bad right now. Like if we go back and look at
maybe go over Murden.
Yeah, so if we do we filter this. Oh, there you go, Ulysses.
No.
They improved it on one of them.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So like Kerrigan, we should be playing more Kerrigan. So like if you scroll down here, like what's interesting on
Nubrak is the highest tank right now?
Yeah, but
fuck my life.
At higher skill level, like if you can execute on him, like the meta's in a pretty good place for deleting people.
For stunning, stun delete.
That's the guy. And then Stitches, of course, is up here.
Yeah. I can
Blaze.
also tank with Blaze. I know how to do that.
So yeah, that can definitely be that can be useful at times, and it can be doubly useful if Ulysses is planning on playing him a little bit, because then you got a little bit of ambiguity. You can pick that in like your 1-2 as second pick, and the other team doesn't know what you're trying to do.
I'd be down for that too.
I have usually played him myself, not always well or to good effect, but a lot on Shrines and Tomb.
Okay.
As tank on that.
He's also just overstated right now with the.
Yeah, he's very good right now.
What is it? Just they bumped his damage on a lot of stuff.
They gave
Crossfire's baseline.
Yeah, they gave him Crossfire, and then they.
That was his
level 7.
Yeah. What? Oh, because I have the. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't. I think I knew that, but I think I
And also
forgot it.
They
his
gave him
13 his 13 that does stun damage is just
Mhm.
like too much
Crazy.
damage. It's like
yeah.
70% pick rate or something with highest win rate.
I got you. Yeah. So yeah, like I'm looking down through here. You got Mal'Ganis. All right, there's the May who's still holding pretty well at like a 52. So she's become more balanced over the
Mhm.
last couple patches. You got Gary, who's kind of coming up in the meta again, which is interesting. I'm sure there are a million more smart reasons for this, but I think part of this is like, I really think that some of the rise of him and Mal'Ganis is just Raynor's useless now.
Yeah,
Like,
sustained autos are hard to come by if it's not Vala.
yeah, and you don't have an AA hero who can just deny every engage you try to do.
Yeah, and Tychus is just too short range for it.
Yeah. So like still scrolling down, Dibbles at 50, that's good. All right, so Dibbles and Joe about the same. So I'm actually surprised. I thought Joe was going to be more like a 48 or something, but
Well, Joe's probably a 48 now because you have the last 3 patches, right? So this is before her.
that's a really good point.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's do this.
I see.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah,
Point.
she's
Yeah,
low. She's lower on the.
she's at 51, but yeah.
She went down by
So
2%.
yeah, so this is all just random variants, but yeah, I mean, I think it's not like she's a useless hero, like
Yeah,
she's still good. I think that some of this is also that she's straightforward for people. She's one of those tanks that people play when they don't play tank.
yeah.
So
With the get out of
some of
jail
that goes
free card and a lot, and
yeah,
general use
yeah. So
abilities.
a lot of that stuff goes in there. So Mura, man, his changes I really wasn't happy about either.
Yep.
Like, to me, this is almost worthless now. I don't know why I would pick it outside of. I don't even think in an ABBA comp I would pick it for extra damage anymore. I think
No.
you'll do plenty of damage anyway. So
I used to be able to get like by level 10 you'd have like maybe 30 or 40
hmm
stack, and then the last time I only picked it once and I got like 13.
yeah,
I think I had 23 or something like that because I got a kill with it, right?
yeah, and part of it is the rework was good in that they took away needing to hit these to get
To
your
get
Pierce,
the
right?
quest, yeah, just
Yeah,
automatic at 10.
yeah, and that's good because you don't have to fish with it. But the thing is, if you're not fishing with it to do the quest, then you're not like the only reason you're fishing with it is to get an extra point 0.5 damage, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's worthless.
Well,
So
that's her basic attack. Even hitting the Q doesn't do it.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like you have to
Yeah. So
actually basic attack an enemy.
oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I didn't even read it right. Yeah. So like it's I don't know. I can't think of a use case in competitive for that.
Yeah.
Dwarf Block's really good. Like a lot of high level people have been taking this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that I haven't gotten really used to using yet, but you just need to preload it, right?
Yeah, you jump before anything even happens, just so you have
Yeah,
four block
yeah,
charges. You
like
wait till that's all gone, and then jump again if you need to.
yeah, exactly. Like before the gates drop at the beginning of the game, jump.
Yeah,
Like
jump
as
in
soon as
your
the game loads
base.
in, you jump out of base or jump in base and get your 4 block charges, and then go. Like on a rotation where you're not going to scuffle for a little bit.
Yeah,
Just hit E and then load up. So it's really nice. Third wind, like I still think a lot of use cases. I usually would look at it as it all comes down to what you think is going to be more value.
yeah. If
Praxis or something where you're going to trade a lot, maybe third wind. If there's something where you're going to get poked a lot, like you're going to get poked a lot, third wind could get some value too.
Yeah, I usually depend on whether they have a lot of autos, because dwarf block is only physical, right? So physical
Yeah,
armor.
yeah,
So if they don't, if
yep,
they have like a Jaina and oh no,
yeah, like Maya or something. Yeah,
yeah,
then yeah, this gets less. Yeah.
yeah, and then
Four, like, I don't think this really is worth anymore because you can't stack a ton of damage onto it.
yeah, I
Um,
usually go reverb now.
Yeah, so reverb can be good. So Thunderburn is like the old school
Yeah, you pick that with
Muradin,
healing
where you
static.
Thunderburn with healing static, right?
Yeah.
I still like that, but I think this is a pick. Whatever you feel better about.
Yeah, I think it really
Uh,
depends on how long they're planning on staying there, right? Because Thunderburn only really
yeah.
gets its value, even with healing static, if they stay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, this would be better on points. This is better into like if you're trying to reduce like a gray main dives onto your back line and you get this on him, that
Mm,
saves a bunch of damage with in the increase in the attack speed slope.
yeah,
Because it's goes from reducing it to 2/3 to half, plus you get the extra second,
extra
which
second.
is really
Yeah,
nice. Yeah. And then you tack on the 5% heroic cooldown. It's pretty good.
yeah.
But yeah, this is still pretty good too. Like mainly just the
Survivable mechanic. Yeah,
the survivability with healing because it's
5%
the
and it
healing's
procs
percent,
twice.
right?
Yeah,
So if you have Avatar running, you hit this and you hit this. If you hit like two people, let's say you hit like three people total, right? Like
mm,
you hit two with the initial, and then you catch one with the second. That's 15% of your healing with the Avatar bonus too,
yeah.
right?
And then if you
So
go
it
level 20 Avatar, which I don't think most people do, then most people go rewind,
rewind.
right?
Yeah, it's just rewind. Like he and a new. I'm sure there are times when this is probably nutty and good, but I have never picked anything but rewind on him or a noob.
Okay.
Same thing with a noob. Like a noob, there's the Trader King or whatever his
Yeah,
huge armor thing
that gives
is.
him
Like
the
there's a
basic
use
armor.
case for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm just like I get to push all my buttons twice is kind of insane.
right. I have to get the
Uh,
hang of using all of my abilities before I hit rewind, because sometimes I'll like hit a Q
mhm.
and then hit rewind to hit a Q, but I could have easily hit four other buttons. So,
Yeah, with Mura, it's really QW QW. With a noob, I like to try to get them all out. So it would usually be like I'm going to engage with E, I'm going to Q and hit my W, and I'm going to rewind. I'm going to Q them again, probably pop my W again somewhere in there,
mm,
and then I decide what to do with my E. Like, am I going for another like multi-person stun or single stun to finish a kill, or did everything go shit sideways and I've got to get out of here?
right.
And Mura can kind of be the same. Like with rewind, you can E in, drop a W to slow people, Q somebody, hit rewind,
Yeah.
hit W to slow them again, Q them, and then you're like either just in it or you realize that things went bad and you hop out again.
And if you have the healing static and Thunderburn, I mean, you have like almost your entire health bar if you hit three people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, it depends. Like, multiple melees, like, it's a tough call, right?
Yeah.
Because you probably want most melees, you want to reduce the
Their
attack
autos,
speed, but
attack speed,
it's
yeah.
like a Maiev or something. Maybe you get a proc of this on. I don't. It's, but I don't think
Either of those are
you're ever
bad
going to feel
choice,
bad
yeah.
about picking these. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on these, this is like we're going for picks. You'll see a lot of like CCL people go for something like that because an 80% slow is like a stun. Like,
Yeah. For
you,
1.5
you
seconds, a
can't miss your
long
Q.
time.
Yeah, you can't miss your Q if you hit somebody with this. So, if you're trying to play old school pick Muradin, like that sets it up.
Okay.
Otherwise, like you'll know when you need to pick these two. Like give them the axe, you will always get some value out of. Skullcracker is good against like a Sonya. It can be good against a Mal'Ganis. Things that interrupts will be good against. And then most of the time you're taking Avatar. I think Haymaker has more use cases than it's used, but I would just stick with Avatar for the most part.
Okay. I like Playmaker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And then on this, I think Bronzebeard just got nerfed into the ground. Win rate's still way better on it,
I think
which is
it's
interesting.
still okay, right? Because now instead of them having to be slowed for for your extra damage, now they have to be hit with a Q.
Yeah, you have to be hit with the Q. So it was, I think it was, trying to remember what it was. I don't remember if it was hitting CC targets or it was like, I think it was hitting them with Q or W or something. It
Yeah.
was something weird. I can't remember what it was. It was way easier to proc. But I think the healing stack's really good, probably especially with Thunderburn.
Yeah.
Or this one, this one's kind of, most people will see it as meme. I still will use it every once in a while. Like if it's like pick and you know you can isolate one thing, then this isn't bad. The problem is
for the do you pick that for the dwarf top's armor primarily? Because the damage, I mean, it's only of one target. It's not even one hero. It's one target. So I never seem to be able to get that procced ever.
Yeah, it's really hard to proc, and that's why I'm like mostly healing static. And apparently Bronzebeard still looks pretty good here, so it's not like it's going to be bad. This is out of combat healing. You go standing away, you heal. I mean,
yeah, helps you
bad.
Helps you with wave clear and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be, it's not gonna help a ton, but yeah, it is something.
The win rate difference is pretty huge there, like 10% between healing stack and bronze.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like really surprised because, and again, Cav's thing is always, if it's the most popular talent and it has by far the highest win rate, that's probably what you should be playing.
Yeah.
So, this, I guess maybe that I would say like this is maybe default, especially if you're gonna go reverb.
Yeah, because Thunderburn you go healing static. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe there's, I think that's probably what I would stick with, is just if I'm Thunderburn, I'll go healing static. I have a reason to play that. Otherwise, since you're comfortable with reverb, I would go Bronzebeard probably.
Okay.
Thunderstrike, I don't know when you would be finding isolated targets to pick off. Like, the game just doesn't work that way in competitive, right?
It would probably. Oh yeah, not in competitive. I was gonna say it'd probably go really well with the 1.5 slow on the jump. Yeah, because then you have them isolated. You can position yourself so that you are just far enough away from everything else and not that target. But again, I don't know.
Yeah, like with an Abahat, you're somehow finding one target.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe good, but. And then 16, again, this is one that, looking at win rates, this is most popular and highest win rate, so looks pretty good. I mean, that mobility is kind of nutty. It's a pretty long
jump. It's a jump, yeah.
Yeah, and then, the additional, if you hit somebody, you get the cooldown, like, it's just kind of a bonus. Like, you're usually only jumping in if you are pretty confident. It's kind of like Greymane. You usually are only jumping in if you know you're going to do something.
Yeah. See, this is I needed this chat because I pick the bad talent on this list, or at least the one that
imposing?
That's the one I normally pick.
Yeah, so I mean,
even if they don't have auto attackers, I still pick that talent because it reduces enemy movement speed, and imagine reducing like 3 or 4 people's movement speed, even if we're not trying to leave, but like trying to engage in their team, like that's what I normally pick.
Yeah, it's valid. A 20% reduction is still pretty good. It's not enough to guarantee CC's gonna hit, but it is, helpful.
And then
I don't think it's bad, especially if you if somehow the draft set up to where like you are playing Murden, but you're trying to get some kind of wombo or something.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think you could maybe still potentially heavy impact into Dwarf Launch and maybe set that up better, but
right.
I don't think it's a throwaway. Like, it's not like you never pick this, but I don't think it should be your default.
Okay, that has been my default.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I mean, again, if you look at this, 2,300 games. That's a really low number, right?
Yeah.
295 games, so I'm not going to say that you should definitely throw it out.
still like
maybe
probably work a dwarf launch in.
Yeah, I think working Dwarf Flinch in, if you need this, this is another one of those. I think if you recognize that you need it, you need it. Um,
Mm,
it's, if you need the extra survivability, things are probably a weird comp. Like,
yeah.
this isn't going to save you from Tygus, right? It's 3% per second, so Tygus
Right.
is still going to burn you down. But I don't know. There are cases where I still go this when I feel like I'm getting pressured a lot,
And
just to try to help myself
you
out.
definitely pop Avatar before you hit that, right?
Try to, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What I would say about this one, Ouija, like, especially since you said this is what I usually take, I would, I know there are a lot of things going on, but if you can remember, like maybe 2-4 weeks from now, just go back through talents again, filter these out again, and say like, what's this look like when there are 1,000 games of this one played too?
Yeah. Like yeah.
Yeah, because this could still be some variance. I think that these are probably still the better talents. I think there are cases to take this. I think there are cases to take almost anything, but um, yeah, I wouldn't throw it out completely. But yeah, play around with the other two when you get chances. And then 20, I'm just a rewind person, but these other ones
I,
can
I
get value.
I don't think I'll ever. I mean, Hardened Shield. Like, I don't think I use those talents effective enough to be able to take them right now. Like that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
even the one on Joe. Like, I just don't feel like I'm. I don't
Yeah,
know.
this one's tough for me because I'm like
Then they just don't
trying to
touch
come
me.
up. Yeah,
Right? You
Yeah.
activate that. It's like Sonya, right? Like when Sonya has
yeah,
I like it.
her
I like it on
bite.
Sonya because like you leap them and then you press it and they're like, oh no, this Sonya's killing our backline. They
Right.
actually like focus you, right? So
yeah,
But yeah, I mean that's the point of that talent, right? Is the talent is like you are going to get focused. Like Muradin, I don't
yeah,
feel like again, you guys all said this. Like he's not flashy. He doesn't do flashy stuff, right? So
yeah,
he's not like if Muradin's in your backline, you just like walk past, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, it's like there usually isn't a ton of kill pressure on him anyway, just because you have Avatar, and if you thought there was going to be kill pressure, you could have been going all these talents that heal him
That heal
percentages
him,
on
yeah.
top of having Avatar. So, it's not like there aren't comps that can kill you, but you know, the, I just am always like, well, if I just had this, I can kind of deal with whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Muradin should have like a decent amount of kill pressure on squishies with, especially with like give him the axe or something.
Mm-hmm.
But do you pick give him the axe though? Like that's not the normal one I pick. I either pick heavy
No.
impact or skull.
I'd pick give him the axe a lot just because I got used to playing it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always saw skull as like I want to use the micro stun to interrupt things.
Yeah.
So whether that's
Like a
Sonya
Lily's
spin,
walking around or a Sonya's spinning to win.
yeah, exactly. Mal'Ganis, like you get a couple of basic attacks on him, like it's a little bit micro intensive and trying to keep up with game state, but if you can get a couple of basic attacks on him and he tries to cast either of his ults and you boop him, 10-second cooldown and he dies. There are a lot of use cases for it. So I'm always kind of a pick on these three. So like heavy impact to me is like, all right, we're gonna try to kill something. Like
Yeah.
just straight up pick something. So I can, if I jump onto somebody, which is really hard for them to stop, then
They should be
super
dead.
slowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can Q them, and then W them, and my damage should have killed them. Give them the axe is just like you're just going to continually put out a bunch of damage from your AAs because it's increased 50% for 3 seconds. So you hit your W on somebody, boop them, boop them, boop them, Q them, boop them. Like it ends up adding up pretty quick.
Yeah.
And like Ulysses was saying, like if you jump on a backliner, if you jump on a Kel'Thas and W him, auto, Q him, auto, Like it's a crap ton of damage
Right.
to Squishy. Now, their whole team's should be back there, but
Yeah.
if, it's a case where somehow the fight breaks down, or, Abahat, right? Like
Mhm.
Abahat on um, whatever maps we decide to play Abba on, it's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, and especially if we go full hat build and we take the slow on the
Yeah.
the
Spike
AoE
slow,
one,
is that
yeah.
what it is? Yeah.
And then it just procs. Like you don't have
Yeah.
to like Muradin doesn't have to use abilities for it to proc.
Yeah, like if I'm Mura in an Abba comp, I probably just go this. Like it's gonna get a lot of value. But yeah, that's
Yeah, look at all the builds. Every single build has rewind at 20.
yeah.
Everyone.
So I'm always like, I don't really understand. I think their talent filters are jacked up, because every time I look at these, I'm like, these don't really make sense. Like
Yeah,
this
they're weird.
Q, I know this is only a percentage of the games, but a bunch of these
That's
Qs are
broken
like
somehow.
in the 50s, right? Yeah, I think this pane down here is jacked up. I don't think it works properly, because Q is 47% win rate. And I know this isn't exhaustive, but the top 6 they show all have that Q talent, or
they all have
4 of them have the Q talent,
and they all have
they're low
the Bronzebeard as well. Bronzebeard Rage.
Yeah. So yeah, that is one way to look at these. Like,
it's popularity, right? It's filtering by popular.
It's popular, yeah.
So that's probably what it is.
And I don't understand what this is.
I don't. What does that
this
mean?
This says it's your win chance.
Oh, those are just the highest winning talents on that tier, probably. Wait,
I think. No, I think that they take the talents and parse them somehow and say.
Really?
That, yeah, and I don't know what their algorithm is, so I never pay any attention to that.
Yeah, that thing always seems weird.
Yeah, because it's I can't quite figure it out. But yeah, that's some general stuff.
Okay.
Or some hero specific stuff. I will shoot this over to you as well, Luigi. We can talk about it sometime. It's just like, honestly, I took Ishbu had a really good series on YouTube that talks about like different styles of tanking.
Okay.
So I tried to break it down into just like a couple of little bullet points.
Should I watch it as well?
If you want to, it's good, because he's, he was a good player, and two, the information's really good in my opinion. But it essentially, he has like 4. It's like talking about walling, fishing, flanking, and gating.
Gating, yes.
So it's kind of, obviously a lot of stuff's out of date because it's from like a year and a half, 2 years ago in terms of heroes, but all of the fundamentals
are all still there.
Sense.
Yeah.
So, like from a high level, walling is literally just trying to let your guys do damage while they don't do damage to you.
Yeah.
Fishing is like trying to find a pick, or essentially trying to find a pick, more or less, trying to find an engage and then getting out. Flanking makes sense by itself, but like the example I put together is like, you're a noob, but one of your DPS might be able to flank, right? Like,
as well, like you're diving at the same time as somebody else is diving. Yeah.
Like, doesn't necessarily mean, a lot of times it could be like if you decide to play some Garrosh and, Ulysses plays Yrel and Hoggard, who defend pretty well, right? So you can go flank off to the side as Garrosh to look for squishies pretty often, because you have a capable offlaner who's playing heroes that are capable of kind of walling for your team, right?
Yeah.
But also, this can also be expanded where you're like, okay, DPS is in a flanking position, and you have a hero who doesn't give a shit about what all these people can do. He can get back there anyway.
Yeah.
So, the flank isn't always just your hero, but and then gating is like my example is like, Diablo wants to go on somebody, right?
Yeah.
So like if he goes on your Rainer, as Tyrael, you can holy ground this, and then all of a sudden, you've shut that off, right?
So that's kind of something that's what we were talking about when we first started this conversation, right? Was like when do you stop gating, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, this Tyrael example is like his talent does the gating for you, right?
Yeah. You don't have to walk. You don't have to
I've made
walk into the
holy
enemy
ground
team.
a little too big here, but like if it's that big,
I
it'd be awesome.
I gotcha. I
Yeah.
understand.
But like, same thing. Like if you're May, right? You throw your W down right here. Um, Task can't come up, right? Like he can throw spells over there, and his Q can get there. Maybe his W if he has the range.
Greymane would have to walk, right? Like.
Yeah, Mouth can't do a whole lot. If W hasn't procced yet, maybe if it's a really good Greymane player, he can jump to you and come in. But then, well, Greymane and Diablo are in now, and these two are still zoned off. So it's one of those things where one of the big parts is you're out of vision, right? Like the Tyrael's in a bush here.
Yeah.
The main thing is you want some number of them, how many ever, usually probably just their tank, in maybe, you let the tank and a squishy in, then you shut that down, right?
Yeah.
But you can't like necessarily do that with Murden, right? Because
he's got no, like, he doesn't have abilities to gate, right? People just can walk
exactly.
past him or dive past him, or the only thing he's got is a full stun.
Like outside of him stepping up, haymakering the Tassadar, queuing the Malfurion, and your team somehow killing Diablo without any other CC. Like,
Yeah.
But like, a Tyrael's an example. May can do it really well. Garrosh could do it. Like if Diablo goes hard on your Rainer, Garrosh steps up and throws this
Greymane away
onto Tassadar and gets the Q on both their DPS, and then turns around and taunts Diablo. Your Tychus is just burning it. Right?
Yeah. He should be dead by the time that taunt goes away.
Yeah. But the big thing with this stuff is
you're doing it from out of vision. They don't see you're there.
Yeah, like if you come back to like the walling example, if you're Joe, like this ETC is never going to go past you because you're shutting that area down. Like that's kind of your purpose. Like a 20 ETC could try to blink Mosh into your backline, and that's fine if whoever you're playing can go shut down their whole backline, right?
Yeah.
Like a Joe might be able to, if you're both 20 and ETC is like, oh, I'm going to go make a play. I blink past the Johanna, slide 3 of their backline and Mosh, and Joe's like, okay, I'll Blessed Shield your whole backline.
Yeah, and then that negates everything.
Condemn your whole backline.
Yep.
And then I'll turn around and come back, and ETC is over here dying, and you're hitting unstoppable and walking out. Like, but that's, you kind of gated, but you only gated because he entered.
Right. he went in anyway.
Yeah, but the gating is more like, okay, we're trying to set up, there are people funneling into this area, and then I'm going to go stop some of them. It's really splitting the team, right?
Yeah.
And that could be, like you go back to the setup, right? Like if May's in this bush, if Diablo steps past and Greymane steps, just a little bit further, maybe, again, this is like an avalanche May, right? Like maybe she hits 3 of them in their backline and they just go off to the side and you
kill Diablo or whoever's
stuck, right?
whoever's left.
Yeah. It's kind of like Falstad. Falstad's, can gate with Gust, right? Like he can do a lot of different stuff with Gust, but that can be part of it. You split the team and kill whoever's left over. That's
right.
Kind of a form of, it's weird, but it can be looked at the same way. What you're really trying to do is just split the team, kill somebody who's split, and then recover and figure it out from there.
I still can't believe I missed the Gust APOC combo. I'm so mad about that, man. So mad.
so Cactus was like, "Oh no, you hit it too soon." But Cactus was like, "APOC, APOC," and you're like, "Okay,
Yeah,
APOC."
he said it
And then
right, and I
well,
hit.
APOC goes off, and then he like doesn't gust,
I just
and you're like, "Oh, that's my bad." And I'm like, "Well, he was calling for APOC."
I feel like I should have known that that was like the
Hmm.
play, right? I feel like I really should have known that. And I've
Yeah,
seen it happen, right? It's happened against me plenty of times. Like
yeah.
I
It
just
was just confusing that he called for the APOC because normally, like if somebody's calling for an ability, they want you to hit it. I was like,
Yes. Yeah.
why did you call for
yeah.
the like if he was like a couple seconds earlier, like, okay, you got APOC ready, and you're like, yeah. He's like, okay, I'm gonna guess. That'd have been different, but he called APOC like 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
and then you hit it, and then he guessed it after. I was like,
Sounds
this
like
is confusing.
yeah, that sounds confusing.
Yeah, but
We almost had that game.
yeah.
Well,
So,
thanks, Eday, for the help.
yeah, man. So like, just let me know other stuff you want to talk over sometime.
Yeah, and especially
And
if you like, I know you're watching most of, or if not all of what we do in practice. Um, if you see something, same goes for you, Ulysses. If you see something that you either want me to work on, or you see something that I don't know. Again, if you want to see something that you're not seeing, you just let me know, and that's something I'll work on.
Totally.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, I like if there's anything you want specific questions, just drop me something and we can talk about it. And we can also just talk about general stuff, sometimes too.
Yeah, I think once
But
we get into the real thick of things, like when we see what other teams are playing in terms of like their pools, I'll probably be asking for help
yeah, for
more
sure.
more often. But now it's like it's just general stuff. Like again, I'm trying to play confident, so
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think you're doing a good job of it. Like just in games tonight and in last night, I feel like comms have actually been pretty good. Things haven't been too cluttered. Like I think you're calling an appropriate amount of stuff for engages and stuff,
yeah.
and you're not calling as much random shit as I was,
Ye-
which was I think was a problem for our team last season
I don't
because
agree with that. You call a lot
no,
of good stuff too, man. Like
well, I did, but the problem was Cactus is our shot caller, and
Mm.
25% of the time I was calling macro stuff that
that
he was
he's
going to call anyway, that
yeah,
we didn't need the
the
voice.
the
So,
double, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, like, the comms from the last couple nights have been, I think, good in game.
Mm.
I think we still need to work on draft and per game talk, but I think you guys have been on a good path.
I hope I do right by you.
Yeah, man, you can do fine. And then the only other thing I would say is next practice, like I think should talk with team before practice starts. Like, these are the 4 or 5 things that I'm looking at playing right now. If you
Hmm.
guys think I need to sub one of those and put something else in, then say so. But otherwise, we need to stick to those.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't see any reason why those won't work. Like the noob on that one comp on Warhead, like it works well, but it's not that you can't play other stuff. You
I
can
just
absolutely play other stuff
doing
on that.
that
So.
doing that strat just makes me feel bad. Like I I
Yeah,
I
I
know
understand.
Ulysses understands and stuff, and I'm sure you understand, but just like again,
It,
it's the drafting to lose thing that just really gets to me.
I
it
yeah. I think we're kind of communicated a weird way.
yeah,
Uh,
it's also singular, right? It's we only have one path to win, right?
Yeah.
Which is tough to accept because like at one point Butte was like, okay, should we be doing something else because this doesn't seem to be working? And I'll give Cactus credit because he's like, no, we're going to keep doing this because, well, for 2 reasons, I give him credit. One, I think that was the only way that with the comp you had a chance to win. And two, I think it was practice. So you push that hard and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, I don't think you throw it out from one game. But if you do it a few times and it doesn't work, then you know, right?
I'd
But if
prefer to try that, something like that in a scrim, right? Where we like, I don't know.
yeah, I understand that. The only thing I would say is that like it was a very focused one line through to win the game. Like we're
Yeah.
gonna do this one thing to win the game. And I will defend Cactus by saying that can be a strategy to win maps and win games, and it's very focused, and I think it's good when it's focused because there were like HGC games where they drafted on Cursed Hollow comps that their only thing that they did better than the other team was take the bosses. It
Yeah.
was like Curial.
There's just a
plus,
pure
other
boss denial.
yeah, and they lost their ass off. Like they were behind the entire game until they started taking bosses. And they would just take top boss, run to the bottom boss, fight over that, take that thing too. And then they just did that like 3 times, and eventually the bosses get good enough, they ended the game. Now they
Yeah.
lost every tribute, and they were behind on soap most of the game and everything else.
That's so, but that feels bad. I mean, that just feels bad.
Yeah. Now, the only other point I'll make about that is that also, like, I think Cactus gets like 1 or 2 more of those on Warhead. Like, we're probably going to ban Warhead, and other teams will anyway. But I think he gets like 1 or 2 more of those to prove that that works, and then
And then we
I
nix
think
it
has-
if
yeah.
it doesn't.
I think he has a good idea, and I think maybe it still can work. And we've done it more like a 3-1-1 a couple times, and I feel
Yeah.
like it worked a little better.
So I think 3-1-1 might be where this goes.
Yeah, yeah. But the reason I say that is because I think 2 years ago that would have been 100% the way to play the map, because you go take towers, you get XP from it, and you stay close or even on XP by taking buildings, right?
You're right.
It doesn't work that way anymore. Like, you have to eat minions or you get behind.
Right.
So that's where I kind of told him today, like, look, you gotta like, think it can still work. I don't want to take away from the strat, but you have to figure out where the windows are where you get team fights on even talents, because you're going to get behind in levels no matter what. You may get up a little bit on
Yeah.
buildings at some point if you play it right, but you have to find the even talent fights. That's something.
And like you said earlier too, it's like we didn't want to fight them, right? We didn't want to. We weren't going for kills.
Yeah.
So.
But that wasn't really explained before the game started either, right?
Right.
It was, yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
we're having that same problem that you guys had last season, where we don't talk about our plan during the load-in screen. We talk about it while we're in the game, like.
Yeah. And I swear I've been thinking about this for the last season and a half. I almost want there to be a checklist, like, as ridiculous as that sounds.
Yeah.
Like, almost want it to be like, everybody has to say the ult they're going to take. Like, over 20 seconds. Like, seriously, like 20 seconds, everybody says the ult they're going to take. And then it's, what's our kill targets? And then, okay, what's the macro plan? And that can fill until the game starts.
Yeah.
But, like, just a couple of things that are like,
Yeah.
fundamental.
I was talking to Woe about a similar thing with my old team,
Mm.
Yeah.
and I asked him for like a formalized list of things to go through, in terms of like how you win, like identify where your team is stronger and where their team is stronger.
Yeah.
Stuff
And
like that.
how you can win.
Yeah, like so you figure out which advantages to push, which weaknesses to account for. He
Yeah.
didn't give me a formalized list, unfortunately, but I think
Yeah.
something like that is good to talk about.
Yeah, the main thing has to be really, like, a really short list of things, right?
Yeah.
Just because, unless, you know, Shane's not on the team anymore, so it doesn't take 3 minutes to load into the game.
Well, maybe we should have kept him.
But it's one of those things where, like, it also depends, like, okay, if other team is last pick, right? And you're waiting for their pick to come in.
Mm-hmm.
What we do a lot of the times is like, oh, they could pick this here, they could pick this here. We don't give a shit. Like, don't even think about it. Like, you have between 0 and 20 or 30 seconds, whatever they get for that pick, to say, okay, these are all the ults we're going to take. Like, each person says, all right, I think I'm going to take this ult, this ult, this ult. And yeah, that fifth pick occasionally may swizzle that, and people can speak up if that's the case, but you at least know what everybody's thinking at that point. And then, last pick goes in. All right, now we spend like 15, 20, 30 seconds talking about, okay, from our comp versus their comp, when we get into a 5v5, who are we trying to kill and how are we going to do that? And then Cactus at that point can say, okay, this is what I think this is how I think we win the game. We do this, 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 and this, and we win the game. And you try to execute that. But right now it's always really scattered, and we do better in scrims, and we 100% do better when it's an actual match, talking about stuff like that. But it's another one of those things where, like, even a Storm League game, you can practice that, right?
Right.
And in Storm League, because it's a Wild West, there are going to be times when you're like, I don't even know what we're doing in this game, and that's fine. But
it is very much Wild West, I'll tell you that.
At least throw something out there.
Yeah.
We had that a bit. Oh, sorry, I'll let you go, Eday.
Sorry, I was gonna say I'm gonna head off, but yeah, it's tough because, like, you get out drafted sometimes, right? And then it's really hard to see that through line of, okay, how the heck do we win this game, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, Ulysses, I think you like some of Cav's stuff too. Like, I don't think he's always 1,000% right about everything, but that's anybody in anything they're analyzing, right? I think he spends a lot of time thinking about the game, has done a lot of analysis on it, so I at least respect what he says. And some of the things he comes up with, I think, are really interesting. I don't think they're always great or work at every level, but, like, I played in that first educational scrims he did when he started that thing up again.
Oh, okay.
And one of the comps was like Dragonshire, and one team, most of their comp, like the core of their comp, was Sylve and Karazhan. And it was mind control into 7-sided on anybody you saw, right?
Damn.
And it sounds ridiculous, right? Like, that sounds like something you could do in a quick match.
Yeah.
But it's Dragonshire. Everybody's moving around the map a lot.
So there's a lot of stray people that you can just catch with a mind control.
Yeah, and the other thing about D-Shire is, if one team really overpowers the other, they'll end pretty early, but you can push that map pretty late, and if you get to 20, that combo looks pretty good, right? You got mind control all the time. You can just fire it off into empty bushes and see if somebody's in there. And if you get a pick at level 20, all of a sudden you have control of the map for 60 seconds, right?
Right.
So some of that type of crazy stuff is interesting, and those type of things always make me think about when you go into Storm League or even an NGS match and you're like, holy shit, we got out-drafted. But okay, is there something that, just like one thing that if we do this right, we can win team fights? Or maybe we can't even team fight them, but if we push off lanes or something, even though we're going to get, kind of like this warhead strategy, right? Like, you may end up in cases where you're like, well, maybe we can just push buildings and hopefully stay even and find a pick here and there and win, That may be your win condition sometimes because you got outdrafted,
Was that when you figured out when I think I played a scrim with you guys where you were Murden and you were just like, you just told me to follow you, I was Greymane, and we just walked around the map just ganking people the whole time?
Oh, no, that's just the way that when Ulysses and I played on Logical Decision, that's the way we played Dragonshire.
Oh, gotcha.
So Zagara, before she got changed a little bit, Snowglare played a pretty good Zagara, and he just anchored bot lane. And me and Ziltoid and Wono would just roam the map and kill people and take camps. Like that's kind of it's
Just the way
very
you guys played
simplistic,
it,
but we,
yeah.
yeah, we and Ulysses was playing top lane for us, so he could always hold top lane easy. So it was like we played a 1-3-1 because we had the heroes and the people to play it. But that's the way I always prefer to play that. You can play it different ways, but that's kind of the optimal way to play it is a 1-3-1.
You have to teach Ouija how to do that. We can
Yeah.
farm people on Dragon Train.
Yeah, dude.
That mind control charism 7-sided was the genesis for me. When we scrimmed POA, I told Sonic to take Junkrat and I took Tyrael because we gave Jake Bala with the first pick, and they picked I think Deckard or Stukov for their healer, so they didn't have a cleanse.
And then you just judgmented him with the
Rocket Ride.
Yep, I remember
on
that.
cooldown and just murdered him every time.
No.
Yeah. And
he I think I remember after the game he was like, that wasn't fun.
That's exactly what he said, and I was like, yeah, I bet it wasn't, because he literally couldn't show in vision without me saying. I basically told Sonics, was like, anytime you see him on vision, I can get to him with judgment. Just start Rocket Ride, and he would. He'd start Rocket Ride. I would judgment.
Damn.
He'd land on him, and he'd just die
Every
and
time.
then
Yeah.
I would queue out. We would wait for Sonics to come back at 350% mount speed, and we would take whatever we wanted. It was just silly, and that was on Dragon
Insane.
Shard too, right? So
Insane.
like stupid little things like that work if the comp set up for it. They didn't have a cleanse, and they didn't have like a Blaze wouldn't have helped anyway if he was up in the top lane, but they didn't have main tank Blaze, or we took Tyrael, so they didn't have any extra support really for the Vala. So like stupid shit like that is like a meme and something you would run in quick match. Like sometimes it pops up in competitive, it's like, this actually works.
It's still so wild.
But, all right, guys, I'm gonna get off here and get some sleep.
Yeah.
Go.
Thanks for the
All right.
chat.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate all
helping
your
out, man.
knowledge.
Yeah, no problem. You guys take it easy.
I look forward to more help.
Oh yeah, man. I'll talk to you later.
Till later, bro.